Title: 5 Types of Assets That Become Completely Worthless in an Economic Crash. Imagine you are Maria, a 43-year-old professional accountant living in Buenos Aires, Argentina, in December 2001. You live in a comfortable and cozy urban apartment. You drive a Renault Clio bought on loan 18 months ago. You hold an official degree from the University of Buenos Aires. You have paid your life insurance premiums on time for 11 consecutive years without interruption. In 1998, you and your husband bought a small vacation house outside Mendoza, hoping it would appreciate. You firmly believe this property will keep increasing in value. Your wardrobe is full of nice clothes, and you also have loan-purchased home appliances and a home theater system. These are all standard middle-class belongings you earned through hard work. On December 1st, Argentina imposed bank controls and froze all public accounts. You could withdraw no more than 250 pesos per week, and your life was suddenly restricted. Within days, the peso's peg to the US dollar was completely abolished. In just a few weeks, the peso plummeted by about 70%. Social unrest erupted, and 5 presidents took office in just 11 days. Supermarkets were looted, shelves were empty, and supplies were scarce. Elderly protesters banged pots outside Casa Rosada, and police dispersed them with tear gas. You stand in your apartment, looking at everything you worked for, feeling lost. In the days that followed, you slowly realized a cruel truth. Your family, teachers, and financial advisors never told you. Most things you bought, assets that once stood for stability and wisdom, became worthless in the crisis. They were not broken or stolen, but completely useless and valueless. This is not a unique Argentine story, but a tragedy repeated worldwide. Argentina is just the most well-documented and typical case. Weimar Germany, the Soviet Union, Greece, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, and Lebanon all went through this. History repeats itself with cruel precision, and the same group of people always suffers. Ordinary people who follow the rules, take advice, and trust the system. They thought obedience would be rewarded, but ended up with nothing. This is not theory, it is recorded, real history. Understanding which assets crash will make you uneasy about today's common assumptions. Before we begin, let's clarify what an economic crash really is. Most people imagine it like a movie. Empty streets, burning cars, soldiers standing guard. Real crashes are rarely dramatic. They are mostly quiet and slow. It is a slow, administrative, bureaucratic suffocation. Stores remain open, but prices change wildly every week. Banks still exist, but they refuse to give people their money. Your house still stands, but no one wants to buy it anymore. Your car still runs, but fuel costs more than your daily wage. A crash is not a shutdown. It is a total disconnect between money and reality. Price signals that guided your life become meaningless noise. Assets bought based on these signals all become stranded assets. Physically intact, but economically dead. The nature of a crash is not destruction, but a total misalignment of value. The most vulnerable assets follow a fixed pattern. They are not random. These are exactly what society most encourages the middle class to buy. They are packaged as responsible, wise, and progressive choices. We will analyze them one by one, like a clinical examination of the truth. Number 1. Real estate bought at the wrong point in the cycle. What people refuse to believe most. The real estate myth is the biggest financial obsession. People always say, land is real and cannot be reproduced. Real estate always rises and holds value forever. Your house is the biggest and safest asset in your life. This sentence has been repeated for generations as if it were a natural law. But it is only a belief, and beliefs shatter under pressure. In 1991, Japan's real estate bubble reached its peak. After a decade of surge, prices became absurdly high, like an illusion. It was said the land of the Tokyo Imperial Palace was worth more than all real estate in California. The Nikkei soared, credit flooded, and everyone borrowed boldly. Ordinary families signed 100-year mortgages just to buy a small suburban apartment. Everyone was brainwashed. Japan is different. Prices will rise forever. Then prices crashed and kept falling for decades. Not 1 or 2 years, but more than 30 consecutive years of decline. Prices in some areas plummeted 70% to 80% from their peak. By the 2020s, many places still had not recovered. For a generation of Japanese, their homes turned from assets into cages. They could not sell because debts exceeded the property's value. They could not move because mortgages followed them like chains. Rental income could not even cover the loan interest. Their biggest asset became their biggest liability overnight. Now look at the 2008 U.S. subprime mortgage crisis. Between 2003 and 2006, U.S. families took on $4.5 trillion in mortgage debt. Policies, loose lending, and public opinion all encouraged home buying. Buying a home was packaged as the American dream, with endless price growth. Prices in Las Vegas, Phoenix, and other cities doubled in 3 to 4 years. Families borrowed desperately, buying first and second homes with heavy leverage. Then the tide turned, and the bubble burst instantly. Prices in some markets crashed 40%, 50%, even 60%. About 10 million Americans lost their homes to foreclosure between 2007 and 2014. 10 million people, more than the entire population of many European countries. The hardest hit were not speculators, but ordinary families who bought honestly. Only in a real economic crash does real estate become completely useless. In the 2010 Greek crisis, Athens property prices fell about 42% in 5 years. The real killer was not lower prices, but total loss of liquidity. No buyers, and the market was completely frozen. The market did not crash, it simply died. Houses sat unsold for years, covered in dust. Owners could not cash out or escape. They were completely trapped. Desperate for revenue, the government sharply raised property taxes, making things worse. Owners paid rising taxes on worthless assets in a shrinking economy. Maria's vacation house lost 60% of its value in 5 years and would not sell. No one bought it, and she could not get rid of it. In a crisis, no one buys leisure vacation property. But fees and taxes still had to be paid in full. The asset became a bottomless money pit, only draining cash. She could only hope the market would return someday. For many Argentines, that day never came in their lifetimes. The mechanism behind it is what deserves the most vigilance. Houses become useless not because buildings collapse, but because the financial system breaks. Incomes collapse, mortgages become unpayable, credit freezes, houses become unsellable. Frozen credit cuts off all channels for property transactions. Governments short of money impose unbearable tax pressure. The illusion that houses are always liquid vanishes when you need it most. This is the gentle trap set by real estate. Number 2. New cars bought on loan, especially installment vehicles. Cars are not mythologized, but they can hurt more than houses. Cars are one of the most leveraged and vulnerable assets for middle-class families. Venezuela's collapse shows this clearly. Before the 2012 crash, Venezuelans bought cars at a record pace. Chevrolet, Toyota, and Ford dominated the market. Easy approval of massive car loans planted the seeds of disaster. Cars bought on credit become useless scrap in a crisis. Fuel shortages, missing parts, and high repair costs make cars unusable. Cars turn from assets into dead weight, but loans remain unchanged. Number 3. Financial products, pensions, life insurance, retirement accounts. These are all bets on the long-term stability of currency and institutions. Weimar inflation, Argentina's pension nationalization, and Lebanon's bank collapse. Long-term promises become worthless overnight, turning to waste paper. Number 4. University degrees and professional qualifications. Education is hyped as the most portable and secure asset. After the Soviet collapse and the Eurozone crisis, many highly educated people lost jobs. Graduates from top schools could only take low-skilled jobs or immigrate. Number 5. Consumer goods bought on credit, furniture, appliances, designer clothes. In Zimbabwe and Lebanon's inflation, these all became burdens. Comfortable in stability, but unaffordable to repair, unsellable, and useless in a crash. Loans remain, goods become obsolete, a double blow. Economic crashes are never caused by a single event. Bureaucratic decisions, broken supply chains, frozen credit, and failed prices together trigger collapse. Since 1900, the world has seen 68 debt crises and 58 currency crises. Historical patterns are highly consistent with strikingly similar outcomes. The most crash-prone assets are those betting on permanent system stability. Long-term debt, illiquid assets, institutional promises, tied qualifications, and overconsumption. Those who survive, stay liquid, diversify, low leverage, avoid blind faith. This content is for historical and educational analysis only and does not constitute investment advice. Understanding crash logic helps you avoid being the last one holding the empty bag. Thank you for watching.